Hello, everybody. My name's Chastity, aka the Luminary Luna Beams,
And I'm Emily, the fine art medium.
and we're two mediums that specialize in the paranormal. Our purpose is to shed light on what goes bump in the night. That's why we call this podcast YouTube channel
Lights at midnight.
Lamb.
Bing.
Yeah. Spirit fingers. All right, guys. So today we have a couple interesting topics. We are trying our hand at the subject of the paranormal drama. It's something that we really didn't notice before about a year ago. Have you noticed this kind of content coming out before a year ago?
Nope.
Yeah, it's something that's rather new, but topics that I feel kind of passionate about, sharing at least my thoughts and opinions. Emily definitely caught up to speed today. She's got some things to say, and we're just going to discuss the situation surrounding Colin and the table tipping thing that he did while he was in England at the Ancient Ram Inn. Also, at the end of the video, we have inserted just a very brief little smidget about some news about Sam and Colby and what they are doing for Hell Week this year. So, without further ado, what we're going to do, we have a couple clips for you to kind of catch you up to speed. You're going to hear from Colin, and then I have a little bit of history about table tipping.
So, this is going to be a bit different than anything I've ever done before. And I just want to come on here to have a little bit of a chat with everybody about something people have been commenting about me, DMing me, spreading around the internet, essentially about a video that was recently posted of us investigating the location that we're at tonight, the Ancient Ram Inn. Now, this whole thing revolves around table tipping. To kind of cue you guys in, table tipping is an antiquated investigation method. It's a method that obviously a lot of people don't believe in. It's somewhat similar to a Ouija board where you put your hands on a table, the spirit or energy is supposedly able to move the table around. And I want to state this outright. I've seen people comparing Connor and I to Cody and Satori, saying tons of different terrible things about us, that we're using table tipping to con people. And this was the very first time we ever did table tipping.
Table tipping or table turning was a popular practice during the spiritualist movement in the 19th century. One of the most notable figures associated with this practice was the Fox sisters, particularly Margaret and Kate Fox. They gained fame in the 1840s for their ability to produce rapping sounds and communicate with spirits, which led to the widespread popularity of spiritualism. Other mediums and practitioners also engaged in table tipping as a way to connect with the spiritual realm, but the Fox sisters were instrumental in bringing the practice into the public eye. The Fox sisters, particularly Margaret and Kate, faced scrutiny and skepticism throughout their careers as mediums. Their initial fame came from the sensational claims of communicating with spirits through rapping sounds, but as the spiritualist movement grew, so did the skepticism surrounding their practices. In 1888, the sisters were publicly debunked when they confessed that the rapping sounds they produced were actually created by cracking their toe joints. This confession was made during an event in New York City, where they demonstrated their supposed abilities to a skeptical audience. Margaret, in particular, later expressed regret for her role in promoting spiritualism and admitted that many of their previous demonstrations were staged. Additionally, various investigations and exposés conducted by journalists and fellow spiritualists revealed inconsistencies and tricks used by mediums, further eroding the credibility of the Fox sisters and the spiritualist movement as a whole. Despite this, their initial impact on the movement was significant, and they played a crucial role in popularizing spiritualism in the United States.
So, okay, I guess, yeah, the Fox sisters were mostly known about doing the table tipping and then the toe cracking. And I guess that was more for like what's the word? The woo, to get people interested into spirituality, because of the spiritual movement was a newer thing back then. And Ouija boards or spirit boards had just come out, and people were more interested in communicating with their relatives. And I feel like the whole table tipping thing was just to get people more interested and just add shock value, while a lot of these things, though, were not legit, as
Yeah.
you can tell. And I do feel like some of the stuff that went on back then could definitely be applied to some of the other stuff that's coming out now, and like what people are doing, especially the fakers. And I noticed a lot of it on TikTok. Like, I don't know about you, but with all the
Hmm.
content sources we're getting stuff from, I'm noticing a lot of the fakery, the majority of it is on TikTok.
Yeah. There is a lot of that. And yeah, you have paranormal creators that do fake things. We're not implying that Colin has faked anything here, just before anybody gets huffy puffy if you're a paranormal files fan, as myself. But yeah, the table tipping thing, it's very interesting. Just to share a fact about the era of the spiritual movement, there was literally an astrological aspect linked between, I think it was like 1860s sometime. And literally in the last 2 years, I think in 2022, we've had that same astrological aspect come back around here in 2021, 2022. And astrologically speaking, that may be why we have had such a big spiritual movement now and such an uptick. Because think about it, 30 years ago, people wasn't doing this stuff. It was taboo. It was no. Eventually, will this go out of style or will it just shift? It's a thought. It's just a thought, because if we run in motion with astrology and the collective energy changes and it affects us in some way, just a thought. What's it going to be in another 30 years? But back to the meat of the subject here. I just wanted to add that in there. Another thing about the spiritual movement is there was a lot of widows at this time coming back from the Civil War and stuff. So that was kind of the buy-in. And then, you even had, when it first started, the spiritual movement in the 1800s. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's right around the same time or shortly after. And yeah, you never saw a whole lot of that down here in the South. It was more in the northern or western states. And if it was in the South, it was done in a different way. But historically, there have been people with supernatural gifts, and it's a shame that people would do this, to con people. It was about the fame and the publicity, and there are people that are doing that again, and we totally get that. And that's one reason we're passionate about covering this particular subject, because we believe in what we do. you know, we've had validation. We are brutally honest and very open with you guys about some of the things we've experienced. Some of the things are really, really interesting. Things that me and Emily have shared, not even 50, 70 years ago would have got us locked up in one of these asylums that I go investigate yet. So I don't know. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And I thought it was cool that Colin decided to try to do it. Just saying.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like we know that entities and spirits have that potential of that PK manifestation where things can move around. So it is possible, but then it's like, okay, is the person that you're watching, and again, this is just a general example, I'm not pointing at Colin, I'm just saying, like, as a general question, is the person you're watching, like, is this actual paranormal phenomena? Or is it just for entertainment purposes? Some channels will have it down in the little fine print in their description or at the end or the beginning of their videos, but some don't have it listed. And I think that's where a lot of the beef is coming, because there are a lot of people that get really pissed off when things are not properly labeled. And or even if it is for an entertainment aspect, even like if you add like a little bit of the fear aspect to it, I feel like having that label will make people feel better and not as scared. And I think that's another reason people want that label. But of course, you do have people that do it for not so nice reasons. And yeah, and that's the problem, because it's like you can have paranormal activity. There's actually a channel that I did a video on. I think it's called like Really Haunted. I think it's, yeah. But it's like you'll have places with paranormal activity, but then because they're impatient and they don't want to sit there and take the time to just wait for that evidence, they go ahead and like falsify evidence, even though if they waited patiently, they probably would have gotten it. And then that's where the mistrust comes because it's like, oh, well, they faked it. So that means there's nothing really going on when that might not be the truth. There could be stuff there, but they also may be like enhanced or faked the evidence.
Yeah, and one of the things, people always doubt things that they do not understand, and that's human nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need that in this community. I think it's very interesting, we're linking all the videos used that are in reference, like for reference, longer references in this video. We're linking them down below. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. But people just fear what they don't understand or criticize what they don't understand because it's all about perception and perceptual experiences. If you don't experience something or haven't had the experience with something supernatural or paranormal, you're less likely to believe in it. But there is a fine line there where once you do experience something paranormal, then you get into this realm of everything's paranormal. And that's not always the case because you end up running into different types. I'm getting my right ears ringing. You end up running into like different types of situations where you use different types of same energy flow, but like telekinetic energy, that kind of exists. That's kind of a thing. Energy is energy. It's just like if you're thinking of somebody and they call, for example, that's one of the things about table tipping. It might not be just a spirit. It might be like how sometimes when you use oracle cards or tarot cards, it's actually your energy, or a pendulum is a better example. How you use a pendulum, and it said that you're actually moving that pendulum. And for me, my oracle card or tarot card readings generally are always very accurate, but when I use that pendulum, it's not always 100% accurate, I've noticed. So that's one thing about, why would Colin want to try table tipping in the first place? Because it's a fun experiment, and that's kind of what this is about.
As you guys are going to see in the Ancient Ram video, on the night that we investigated the location, we weren't even planning on doing this table tipping. During our interview, our almost 2-hour long interview with Caroline, the owner of the house, and our tour guide, Chris, they were sharing stories with us of extreme paranormal activity and honestly wild stories of table tipping sessions they had done in the Ancient Ram at the table that we were literally standing by or sitting at. And so obviously this goes back to me. Whenever I hear of something new that I can try during an investigation, when I hear of something that I've never done before, I'm always trying to keep my mind open, because obviously when it comes to table tipping, we're not insinuating that a ghost is literally sitting there rocking the table up and down. But it's interesting to me. And that's, I have an open mind, and the paranormal is all about having an open mind and being really curious about what happens when you die. So when it comes to table tipping, of course, when I'm hearing stories from the woman who owns the place and the tour guide, she even told us that the table tipped all the way up the stairs in the house. Of course, I'm going to say, wow, that's crazy. I've never done this. Let's try it out.
We have to do things in the paranormal field to figure out what works and what doesn't. There are now books, insert Zach Baggins book here, but there are books that you can learn from and people that you can learn from in all seriousness. But it is always a cool thing to find something that was older and come back and try it again. And as a collective, as a community, we should not knock people. Now, I think some of these comments that came through are people that are fearful or don't understand or don't believe. And even if they do, because they let other people get in their heads about the situation, they want to be quick to judge and quick to say this isn't this or this isn't that on the basis of somebody else trying to debunk and go in and like pick apart and just pick pieces out of each individual hand. And that's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair, but there's a certain line of negativity, like a ball of negativity that they create.
And I'll say one thing real quick. When it comes to debunking, I am 100% on board for debunkers. I'm friends with a lot of people that are in that community. I'm not mad. For example, if somebody sees something in my video and says, oh, that was probably a false positive, I look at it and go, oh shit, yeah, that probably was. And then we change what we do. Or somebody, points out we're using something incorrectly. I'm the first person that's going to go and actually message somebody and say, hey, thank you for pointing that out. It was a mistake, I guess, and we're not going to do that again. But my issue, and I've tweeted about this and I've talked about this, is that I don't feel a lot of times like it's debunking with a positive purpose to try and help paranormal investigators. I feel like it's just trying to capture this gotcha moment where people can say that you're fake and then call you names. And I've said this before, but we've gotten death threats. We've gotten people threatened, I think 2 weeks ago, my pets and my wife in a DM. I've had just tons of very, very negative comments and people who've never met me and don't know anything about me, jumping to conclusions based off of a single video or tweet that they'll see about me.
Which is not healthy for yourself and the people you're projecting it towards and the overall collective. Yeah, I don't like when people just, like, it's okay to have your opinion, but it's another thing to try to force your opinion on somebody. And if something doesn't go either your way or goes against your opinion, then you resort to nastiness. And it's okay to have um a constructive criticism and have conversations based on that. But then when we move to death threats, that's not cool. It's like maybe you might want to take an inward look of yourself and maybe try to figure out where that's coming from. Was
Or
it
go
because
to the doctor.
or go
Like,
to a therapist? Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Yeah,
Um,
it's disgusting.
yeah. And I feel like too with social media, people get really cocky and very confident that because, it's through a screen, they don't have to take responsibility for their actions, which I mean, they're cracking down on those laws, so you better watch what you're saying because you could go to the penitentiaries that we may investigate in the future. You know, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, it's like, why do you need to add more negativity? You're just feeding the negative collective and or the negative entities that are attached to you and or just, I don't know. It's kind of like a snowball effect that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you need to take responsibility for those that you affect with your words because there are some people that aren't mentally capable of taking mean words and might do something to themselves or
Yeah.
something dumb and that's not cool. And then threatening pets. I'm just saying, if someone threatens my pet, I will go to jail for my pet. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
afraid. Like I will protect my family members. Not saying that I have been death threatened, but I'm just saying you better be careful because you could go to jail for some of those threats depending on the laws in certain states and countries.
Yeah, and not everybody's prepared to make those kind of threats and follow through. I would say about 10% of those threats, I'll give it maybe 20, maybe for real. But most of them, keyboard warriors, people do get real nifty behind that keyboard. But if you ever stared them right down in the eye, that's just kind of what it is. And you have to have a thick skin in this industry, meaning like videos and stuff like that. Like you're going to get criticism. I expected certain things when I started filming, and I expected a lot more things than my mind than I really got. But, we're only in the thousands here. We haven't made it as big as Colin, and I could only imagine what that can do and the pressures of having to get like these videos out and you're there and you're in the moment and it's totally ridiculous. One of the things that I would like to say, it's almost a prediction thing that when you brought it up, it is like where they're getting tighter on the laws. So I have a theory, prediction slash theory, I guess you could say that, everybody's wanting you to turn in your ID like for Instagram and stuff. And this happened a while back. I think me and Emily actually talked about it. And I said, girl, I really think they're starting to want to track people so they can hold them accountable for what they do and say online. So, not, and it's not mandatory now, but in the future, because of the amount of things that will happen, they may try to make it mandatory that you submit your information. So, like, once you get to a certain level, they can find you, makes them find you easier. And think about it like this, specifically here in America, they're always trying, I say they're, those in power, they're always trying to find a way to make more money. Well, there is a whole untapped potential for fining people like in court online. So, conspiracy theorist, if you want to call me, I'm just going to leave that there. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's unacceptable. We don't know what people are capable of, but also the people that are threatened or stalked or whatever, that makes you mentally, upset. It doesn't matter how sane you are, it's going to affect you some way. And you're either going to prepare for something like that, I mean, it should never have got this serious over an experiment. It's just an experiment. But I will say that in the next and final clip for the Colin bit, we have the actual couple-minute video of the table tipping itself. So, guys, if you haven't seen it, take a peek. Let us know your thoughts. We're not saying, I feel bad for Colin, honestly, and anybody that has to go through this kind of stuff, because, I'll hold my thought there. Let's just roll that clip.
Edward, are you here? Can you rock this table for us tonight? Would you like to take a seat in the rocking chair on the table? I know how high and mighty you like to be, to show us your power. It would be really interesting if you could tip the table and rock the whole chair off the table. Come on, you think you're powerful? Shit, give us the evidence.
It's rocking.
Do you want to go a bit faster then? Fucking hell, I didn't expect it to happen this quick.
No, what the f is happening?
Come on, Edward, rock that chair. Move the table.
Don't you like the tarot cards? Do you want to kick them off the table, love? Don't think you do you?
I can feel the table moving.
Yeah, go on, rock the table.
Table tipping.
I know, but what is moving it?
Come on, bitch, tip the lot.
Oh, he won't like that.
Come on, then.
It's thumping, eh?
Yeah.
Feel it.
Who's getting that angry bastard now?
Are you filming on me? Yeah. Oh no.
Faster, then. Do you want to land on somebody's lap?
Yeah, you were touching me earlier.
You're not very strong, are you? You're
Like
not
the
moving
boys,
that
do
chair.
you? You like the boys in the barn, do you? Yes, you do.
Well, this is crazy.
This
I've
is
never done this before.
yeah. What the hell is going on? This is nuts.
You can actually feel it.
I can feel it like
The whole
literally
table.
Yeah.
moving.
Faster, then. Tip the table. Go on, I've seen you twist the chair before. You don't like being told what to do you? You can't help it. Like a red rag to a bull.
This is freaky.
We're not moving at all. My hands are just sitting here. Like,
Hands are
what
just
is
on
going
it.
on, actually?
Don't like the ladies, do you? Don't think we should talk like that, do you? Making you angry. Bring it on.
The man's moving the table.
I've got something like that. I drew a, you can't see it. I drew like a quick diagram of what I was seeing, but I did see the man and I saw him standing in a certain place. I want to see if you've seen where he was standing.
Well, there. Okay. There is an earthy there, but he's not moving the table. It's the man sitting at the table. Did you not see his hand and how it was positioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see his leg move.
I don't know. I feel differently. Personally, I don't think they were moving the table back and forth. Um, if you really go, he does the whole unclipped video. What I think happened is because everybody, if you look, I don't know having anything to put my hands on, because if you look, there's no amount unless that table is automatically has nothing underneath it, like as in like it's off balance. Yes, that can happen. You could move it easily like that. If that table and it's wood, because I was thinking like cobblestone or something like that. Honestly, my opinion is it's not necessarily a spirit moving the table. To me, it was that kinetic energy, and the driving force behind that kinetic energy of it just slightly swaying is that woman sitting there. She has some type of, well, so she does have a connection to that place from her history and being there. Again, link in the description. Go watch the video. There are three spirits there because I put myself in that room. There is a man standing next to the bald headed guy, and he's all blue. He looks like he's in very old timey clothing, period clothing. And he's just like,
Does he have
this
like
is
a
what
light brown hair though?
I would say it's probably brown. I don't know if it's light brown, but it's brown. And
Yeah,
he's got like
it's
a,
yeah, go ahead.
I was saying he's got like a white shirt, and it's like, but almost like it's split right here and half of it's hanging down. He's just standing there with this just, and I can, do you want to say something? Because I got more. I could keep going.
Yeah, because I was seeing the man there next to the guy, and he does have like the light brown hair, and he does have like the clothes you are describing, and I know for a fact he's not moving the table, but I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's the man sitting at the table that's moving the table because I can see how his hand is positioned on the table, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
that table looks very flimsy in of itself, but it's the way in which his hand is on it. Like I can see him moving it. Like it looks
Mm-hmm.
like he's moving it with his hand. And it also looks like I do see his legs move a bit, but because you can't see like his knees hitting the table, you can't say definitively whether or not he's also doing it that way. But I do feel like the way in which his hand is positioned, because there's like that space there that
Mm-hmm.
provides leverage on that table, that he is moving it a little bit. And then the one thing I really didn't like was how the woman was kind of like egging on the spirits. You don't do that. Like
Yeah.
that's one way to mess around and find out, and that's not what you want to do. Even if those spirits there are more on the friendly side, it can have a not so good day or something else even worse could be there and you piss it off and you'll get a chair in your face and you'll have a
Yeah.
broken nose and whatnot. But like, I don't think a spirit is moving the table.
Mm-mm. I don't either. But I do not think, personally, I do not think Colin or Connor was moving the table.
No.
I'm not really picking up them jinxing it, like, or however you want to say it,
Yeah.
manipulating the table personally. I think it's some type of kinetic energy. I don't see the table moving. I see the rocking chair moving. So that's the difference. The only thing I saw this male spirit do was reach his hand over and tap the table.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I saw that. There's a woman in the corner and she's standing there, and there's another man standing beside whoever the camera guy was. I think it was Elton. I think. I'm not sure because this was a collab with Elton. I think it was more kinetic-y type energy making that rock. When you get four people together, it's like a pendulum.
Energetically, I did feel pricklies on the back of my neck, and there is stuff going on energetically. And just if we're gonna go down the psychological route, because I was analyzing her behavior and what she was doing, but the energy associated with her and like what she was projecting out was a mismatch to I don't know how else to describe it. There's some sort of dissonance there of like, um, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I
But
do believe that they have paranormal activity go on, and I think they have missed opportunities in catching it on camera. And so when things don't go the way they expect, they kind of like make things happen, if that makes sense.
it's a possibility. I didn't go that far into it, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to agree with it
Yeah.
because I didn't see it, I didn't feel it.
Hmm.
But I mean, kinetic energy, I wish I had something to put this on, but it's just like I wish I had a way to study it. Can you see it?
That's the one
It's
I
just
gave
like
you.
I think so, yeah. Holding the pendulum or whatnot, I can't hold it still enough. But if you sit here and you literally will this thing to
Yeah.
move, like if you have that thing, these things move
Yeah.
like on their own without you holding them. If you hold them and you have them, you can literally, or even just barely touching them, you can hold it pretty steady. But if you ask a question like, I wish I could do it because nobody's going to believe me just seeing it
Hmm.
because with my arms held up.
Yeah, because I always have to have my hand re or my arm resting on something, so I'm not moving it.
Yeah. And I don't have that because mine's kind of up in the air. I'm trying to hold it as still as possible. I'm wondering, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Just wondering if you're picking up on the particular nasty energy
Yeah,
there.
because it's not nice. It's not an earthy.
Yeah.
And the energy is showing me like this brown color. It's like a rusty dark brown color. That's like the color of that energy.
Just murky.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that place is haunted AF. I'm just saying, in that moment, things that I've observed, do I feel like in the past things have moved around, like rocking chairs and the table and stuff? Absolutely. I think there's a lot of paranormal activity in there. I just think in that moment, I will just say it seemed very fishy with how his hands were positioned on the table. And I'm not saying anything towards Colin or his buddy. I didn't see them doing anything wrong. It just looked very fishy, despite seeing the man earthy. So,
Yeah. And I personally don't think Colin or Connor did anything wrong. I think they were in for the ride. And the table, I did not see the table itself rocking as much as the rocking chair. I think there was a lot of kinetic energy moving that. Now, kinetic energy is energy amongst people. And just because it's just like I was trying to show, but it doesn't show it very well. If you start to put your intention into something, you can make it happen. No different than anything else. One thing that I did see that was more paranormal than what's the word? There's a word for it. It's left my brain, but more so than like kinetic energy that we do to move things, I guess you could say. Um, I did see the spirit knock on the table. His arm kind of like stretched out. The guy barely moved, and he just like, I think this is what spirit's telling me. It was his way of telling that woman to shut the up.
hmm. Yeah. I mean,
That's what I saw paranormal.
yeah, I was more focused on the debunking side. So for me, I did see the table move, which then moved the rocking chair. So,
Yeah. And fair enough. My screen is about yay big.
mhm.
But no, I don't think anybody went into it maliciously.
No, I don't
Did
think
not.
it was malicious.
Mm-mm. I don't think anything was malicious at all, personally. But I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Um, with all that being said, we have one more clip. Well, two more clips. Sam and Colby. So there is some news that has come about, and what we're going to do is just go ahead and roll into that first clip.
To be talking about something that a lot of people have been just blowing me up about. Oh my god, I've been getting blown up so much about this.
You all know about the Sam and Colby buying a property that is allegedly haunted for their Hell Week.
Sam and Colby have bought a haunted school in Iowa.
I want to be talking about Sam and Colby, the legends of paranormal.
The Farrar Elementary School is alive. Did you just see that?
Where?
I had a child figure standing right in front of me.
Whoa! What is that? Something just went into the boiler room.
Ring the bell.
Oh my god!
Babe, no. This was not a good idea.
Yeah. So, quickly, I just wanted to touch on this as a paranormal investigator. They received a lot of flack about an allegation, because it's known now. They bought the Farrar School. There's Farrar. Everybody's saying it different. But yeah, they bought the school, and it used to be around $72 per person. You could come in and you could investigate, and there were allegations that they were going to be charging $1,200 for people to come and investigate. There have been some updates, which we will play for you guys. It's a very short clip here in just a second. But all I really wanted to say is, you know, for your average paranormal investigator that is going to these places, like how I did Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, because this is from experience. Bobby Mackey's St. Albans Sanatorium, people are going wild and comparing them to the Conjuring House. And the reason that I put this, and I wanted to put this part in the video, is they were comparing Colin to Cody and Satori. Now they're calling Sam and Colby. And Sam and Colby, don't get me wrong, they are very theatrical in the way they do stuff. Do I believe that everything you need to scream and holler about? No, I'm not like that as a paranormal investigator. Like, I generally pretty rock solid. If you see me scream and run, you better get to step into, because something's really, really wrong. Okay. The gates of hell or something opened up, or something's really bad. But honestly, ghost hunting costs money. Is it more on the expensive side? If they were allegedly going to charge $1,200 for a private investigation, yeah, but it's still not as much money as I've personally teamed up with other groups and paid. Most recently, we went to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. It was $1,500. And a lot of people are having an issue with it that don't actually go do it for themselves unless they're smaller teams. I know there's smaller teams that, you know, may not have the connections with other teams so they can group up and go to these larger places, but really that's the way to do it. I think it's just about honestly causing drama for drama. Let's see, that was 8 or 9 hours at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. She actually came early. We paid $1,500. It was $150 per person with the group we had. I'm very forward here. St. Albans Sanatorium, $880 for 8 hours. Bobby Mackey's was $660 for 4 or 5 hours. 5 hours, I think. Henry River Mill was $660 or $680 for 6 hours, I think, maybe, or 7. So, you know, it depends. I mean, going to the Sally House, I think it's $125 per person. You may get the night. That's pretty cheap. Every place is different. I mean, one of the places we're getting ready to go is only $150 for a full investigation. I've been to places that are $250. These are smaller locations with single owners. So all I wanted to say is it's just more hate and more drama. And it's like people are trying to fish out the crazy in the community, or the bad in the community, or what's been perceived as bad. And like I said, we need debunkers. We need people to say, hey, maybe this isn't. When you're in the moment, you know, and you need, it's good to have a second look, but it's coming from a place of nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole $1,200, if it turns out to be that for a private investigation, and this place was really haunted, I would invite my team. We would split it up like we have, and everybody pays about $100. But if you're going at it individually, yeah, it's a big cost. But it's not as serious as it's been made. Coming from somebody that does the paranormal investigations, that's why I wanted to throw that in there.
I want to add some things that people might not even take into consideration with some of these places. So, okay. So let's say, we're not saying this is fact, but let's say it really is $1,200 to do that group investigation. You have to take in consideration the management of the property tax. If there's anything that needs to be fixed, any kind of restoration, upkeep, the land upkeep, someone's got to mow the grass, someone's got to dust, or maybe they might not dust because maybe it adds to the spooky effect.
They normally don't.
Yeah. So, but like there's upkeep, there's
Yeah.
taxes, there's so much that people just not even, they don't even think about. And it's like you also have to pay like for the business. It's a business. You have to pay a yearly business fee for your business. Like for me,
Permits, anything.
permits, I have to pay, I think it was like $250 a year for like trademarks or whatever. That stuff is different for each state, of course. Um, taxes that are based off of services that are being provided, water, heat, electric. A lot of those places don't have heat, but some of them might have Wi-Fi for your equipment. Like there's a lot of stuff that no one thinks about.
Yeah.
And they just see, oh, someone's going in with the camera and they're finding ghosts, which you may or may not believe in. And it looks like they're doing something that might not be perceived as real by the viewer. So it looks like a scam altogether. But I mean, it's based off of perspective and what you deem to be appropriate, and it's all opinion based.
Yeah. Not including, they blatantly say, I think they paid $260,000 for the place.
Yep.
In this next clip, I left that out actually, but in the video from that I linked below, you can go check it out. I mean, that's not including the mortgage unless they paid it off in cash, and most people don't do that. So yes, they're and employees. You have employees.
Yep.
We've had employees at places as well because they get paid. So at the end of the day, the establishment doesn't always make a ton of money as you think. As you think. And yeah, a lot of people that have something to say are in the community, and that's understandable, but you're not really seeing too many people that may not that aren't doing paranormal investigations really saying something about it. I think it's awesome. Does everybody like Sam Colby's videos, or do everybody believe in Sam Colby? No, and that's okay. There's some things that I think they do over exaggerate. I think there are some paranormal things that actually do happen to them, but every video has something in it. But I'm over here talking, I've caught two different spirits and out of 5 locations. I don't even know about Brushy Mountain yet. And I'm afraid that people are going to start not believing the evidence I got, but I've got the raws, baby. I got them. And it's the thing. It's like, if you don't believe, that's cool. You're entitled to your opinion, but being hateful and being nasty and just, there's no space for that. There really isn't, but there is a lot of space being created for that. And I'm not saying that anybody that we featured in this video, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, nothing like that. It's just crazy the amount of negativity coming from either skeptics or debunkers. And negativity doesn't always have to be nasty. Constructive criticism, but people ain't gonna act right.
I want to add an astral realm experience that I had like a day or two ago because Sam was in it. I don't know if I told you, but in part of the astral realm experience that I had, I was sitting with him and some other people that I know, And I remember having like a deep conversation with him, but of course now I don't remember the details of the conversation. It had to do with like traumas and things. And I remember him just sitting there and crying for whatever reason. It had to do with the trauma that he experienced. And I didn't know anything about like the controversy with the Hell Week thing with the school. So now I'm wondering if something's gonna happen in regards to that. It's just weird that I would
Yeah.
have that experience, and now we're talking about Sam and Colby. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering, like, I don't know, maybe something's gonna happen that will be traumatic in terms of paranormal experiences, attachments, or something to do with the school providing that stuff, or maybe a problem in terms of like legality and maybe losing it or something. I don't know. All I know is having that conversation and then him just like bawling.
That's wild. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, so hopefully, Sam, nothing bad happens.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, guys, what we're going to do is leave you off with the last little clip. It's literally like 9 seconds of him saying something, and then we leave you the letter. It's the update, and basically, it's allegedly coming from someone that works for the company explaining what we've been talking about and how it was all kind of misconstrued. I did not see that until after planning this video because we were just going to bring it up as the topic. That was the plan. But I finally saw the updated video like while I was making the clips for this video. And it's just kind of denying some of the things. Things are going to kind of be similar. Things may change. But at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, get several people together. You know, they may only run them during the week. They may only run Saturday and Sunday. When you do the math, when you add everything in, it's fair for this community.
Mhm. Well,
That's just my
okay.
opinion.
I did see the video, and essentially they're saying that it's $1,200 for like the weekend, and they
Mhm.
provide all of the equipment, and you can come in, so you have unlimited access as well during that time. So it's not even just for one day, it's for multiple days.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And yeah, guys, we're going to insert that clip now, and you'll be able to read that bit for yourself. And you know, you can pause it. I've added some seconds there onto the end, so you can read it. If not, that's fine. It's fine. You don't have to.
Went on to state, "Hey Ben, I wanted to email you to give you some more info on the Farrar School. I work for the company that is running tours there. It's called Redacted, based out of and Redacted."
All right, guys. So until next time,
Peace
peace out.
out. Gang signs.
Hey, if you have a haunted story you want to share, you can email us at lightsatmidnightpodcast@gmail.com. Get in touch with us there. We'd love to hear from you. We really appreciate y'all hanging around and checking it out. And yeah, thank you so much. We are super excited to bring you some super awesome content. We really appreciate you guys checking us out.
Thank you to all that took the time to listen to this week's episode. Your support means the world to us. And remember, all of us have the ability to shine brightly and shed positivity, even in the darkest of places. Stay safe, stay well, and light it up!